SpaceX Dragon on Dragon to ground for a timeline tag up.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Anna, we're managing the collection of the used water bottles and other items as well as our meal, and just looking to understand a little bit better how closely we're to hatch opening or another timeline milestone. We're kind of running to the end of the tablet here with meal 5 that started about, 25 minutes ago or so, and so just wanting to understand how much time we've got in front of us.
In Dragon SpaceX, we estimate we are about an hour to Dragon hatch opening.
Copy that, Anna. Thanks for those words. It just helps us manage getting things done. And looks like you guys are on board. Welcome aboard, I guess, the integrated space station now, huh?
Indeed. Thank you so much. We're excited to be here.
Endeavour, Houston calling over hardline for a voice check. How do you read us now?
Houston or station from Endeavour. I'm not sure the location of that last call, but still quite a bit of skipping and unreadable.
And Endeavour, it's Houston, loud and clear on Dragon to ground. We heard your response, so we're in the same situation. We're hearing you, you're not hearing us. We have one more troubleshooting item that we're going to put in work now. So we'll give that a try and then maybe call it for the day. We'll let you know.
Endeavour copies. Thanks, Houston.
Endeavor Houston calling via hardline for a final voice check. Do you have us now?
Houston, Dragon on the big loop, that was an improvement, but it's still completely unreadable.
And Endeavor Houston on Dragon to Ground 1, we're still hearing you 5x5. Understand it was slightly improved. Were you able to read me at all, or is it unuseful?
Yeah, it was a slight improvement, but it's still unintelligible, almost every word. There was maybe one word that you could have sort of figured out, but that was about it.
Okay, thank you for the feedback. First time, obviously, and we think we're running into some interference issues, but we'll continue to take a look.
We copy, thanks.
Estão nos preparativos finais aí agora. Estou olhando uma outra tela aqui. Já vão entrar já. E sem os trajes, que é o mais interessante, ó. Essa imagem é da Dragon. É incrível, né? Sem som, sem nada. A gente fica agoniado.
This is Mission Control Houston. If you're tuning in to our coverage, you're getting a live look at the International Space Station Flight Control Room. You're hearing a lot of communications from the International Space Station, both from the space station side over space to ground. NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy, International Space Station Commander, setting up for the hatch opening. You can see a series of cameras scattered around, ready to capture the best views of Bob and Doug coming through that hatch. We did get confirmation just shortly that we did have good pressurization of the vestibule. It'll be about 10 minutes to perform a series of leak checks. Again, that pressure needs to stabilize. The thermal conditions make it swing just a little bit, so just waiting for that to stabilize before those leak checks are finalized. That underway within the next 10 minutes. We do have communications settled in the hardline connection between International Space Station and Dragon. You can see from the inside of Dragon now, the crew doffed or took off their suits, just getting a few things packed up before they eventually open up the hatch after that pressurization is equalized between Space Station and Dragon.
Endeavor, it's Houston calling for a voice check over the big loop. We've retransitioned back to RF, so back to RF. How do you hear us?
Houston Dragon on the Houston Dragon on a big loop. Was that comm check for us?
Yeah, affirmative, Endeavor. It's Houston. We transitioned back to RF because we still had the interference over hardline. So we're back on RF now and just want to make sure we had you.
We've got you loud and clear on RF.
Loud and clear as well. We're just going to leave it here for now. Thank you.
Here's a live look from inside the Crew Dragon. You're seeing Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley just preparing the inside of Dragon. They have doffed or taken off their suits. The pressurization between Space Station and Dragon is complete. They just need to perform some leak checks, make sure that pressure is stable before they actually open the hatch. Teams working together on the ground, International Space Station Flight Control Room and the Flight Control Room in Hawthorne to get that big loop communication configured so everyone can hear each other through this process, figured out a workaround using RF connection. This is Mission Control Houston. If you're just joining us, you're getting a look inside the Crew Dragon. That was Bob Bankhead seated on the right side, the pilot seat or the Joint Operations Mission Commander seat for Demo 2. He and Doug Hurley, the commander of the spacecraft, just preparing the inside, putting away some trash. They just doffed their suits and right now just waiting for the pressure to equalize between the International Space Station and Bob and Doug. Just two hatches, really, separating them from the inside of the orbiting complex. Aboard International Space Station, Commander Chris Cassidy has been outfitting Node 2. It's the first node. Once you cross over some of the hatchways, there it is. You can see some of the cameras positioned around to capture the crew coming in to the International Space Station. Much of that work completed at this point. Really, at this point, just waiting for good leak checks between Station and Dragon.
Station Huntsville, Space to Ground 3 for Chris on the ISS experience.
Head on 3.
Hey Chris, we're not seeing good connection between the SSC-25 and the camera. We're coming up on a handover, but they're looking for a reboot of SSC-25.
Reboot 25, copy.
SpaceX Dragon on Dragon to ground for inventory.
I am here and ready to copy.
Okay, Anna, we'll start with location 9 from bag 203. Remove 3 water bottles.
Copy. 3 bottles removed from bag 203.
Good read back from location 10. We removed bottles from each of bag 207, 20, so 6 water bottles in total.
And Dragon SpaceX, you were pretty broken on that call, but I think I copied 3 bottles from each bag 207 and 208. Is that correct?
That is a good read back, Anna.
I copy.
For location 11, 1 dinner from bag 317, 1 breakfast from bag 315, and 1 lunch from bag 316.
There are several.
I copy 1 dinner from 317, 1 breakfast from 315, and 1 lunch from 316.
Folks are interested, but they're all everything that was taken has been sent down.
That's a good read back. And location 12, one dinner from bag 321, one breakfast from bag 319, and one lunch from bag 320.
I copy one dinner from 321, one breakfast from 319, one lunch from 310. And am I correct to conclude all of this includes your consumption from the lunch that you just completed?
That's correct, Anna. We've finished eating, and the lunch we just completed is a good complete list of what I've read down to you so far. The only thing we have remaining is the flush of the waste system here, and we'll do that with a water bottle and report when we do that a little bit later.
Copy. That sounds like a perfect plan. Thank you so much.
Okay, with that, that's the extent of our inventory. All else is per the packing plan.
Copy all else from per the packing plan.
This is Mission Control Houston. You've seen Chris Cassidy, International Space Station Commander, do much of the setup, but he does have two crew members on board, both Russian cosmonauts. Next to him right now is Ivan Wagner, rookie space flyer that was on the same Soyuz spacecraft that Chris Cassidy launched on from the Baikonur Cosmodrome just a little more than a month ago. Also on board is Russian cosmonaut Anatoly Ivanishin. This is Mission Control Houston. We are coming up on almost 2 hours since the Crew Dragon made contact and was captured by at the International Space Station's forward international docking adapter. That happened at 9:16 a.m. Central, 10:16 a.m. Eastern. Still working through some of those milestones, equalizing the pressure between Dragon and International Space Station, verifying some of the communications. And of course, you see Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley inside, continuing to prepare the inside of their vessel before they make their way inside the orbiting complex.
SpaceX Dragon on Dragon to ground. Mind taking the cameras down for just a few minutes here?
We will put that in work and let you know when it's done.
This is Mission Control Houston. You heard the call from Bob Behnken, Joint Operations Mission Commander of the Demo 2 mission, taking down some of those video feeds. We're still waiting for some of those milestones to pass before actually opening the hatch. The Dragon crew continuing to get themselves ready before opening the hatch. Chris Cassidy on the other side, just preparing some of the camera views, making sure everything's set there, done even a little bit ahead of time. We do have confirmation that there is a good data connection path between Dragon and the International Space Station. Some of those checks underway next. Coming up on 2 hours since docking at 9:16 a.m. Central, 10:16 a.m. Eastern.
Space Station on 3, the SSC's been rebooted. Any success?
Hey, Chris, we see good connection between the SSC and the camera, and we're just performing the calibration now, and we'll start recording shortly. Thanks for your help.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to help.
Dragon SpaceX, we have gone exterior with the cameras.
Dragon copy, thanks.
This is Mission Control Houston. Again, you're getting a look at the inside of the International Space Station. That's NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy, commander of Expedition 63. Continuing to get some of those cameras configured for hatch opening. Many milestones already passed after docking at 9:16 a.m. Central, almost 2 hours ago at this point. At the time of docking, the International Space Station was on Russian thrusters. After contact and capture was moved over to control moment gyro, stabilization and attitude control, now back to its standard configuration of thrusters and control moment gyros. After an umbilical connecting Dragon to the International Space Station was established, we did get confirmation of good power flowing from the International Space Station to Dragon. Dragon now relying on station power. We did get confirmation of good data transmission. And of course, the teams here on the ground, both here in Houston and in Hawthorne, troubleshooting some of the communication to make sure that is ready to go prior to hatch opening. Pressurization between International Space Station and Dragon brought up to the same pressure, 14.7, the same we would find here on Earth. Leak checks are next to confirm the pressure is stabilized between the two vehicles. You see the hatch just on the other side of Chris Cassidy there. That's the hatch to the pressurized mating adapter. There's two more hatches once you go down that hatchway. One is to the international docking adapter, and the other is the hatch of Dragon itself.
SpaceX Dragon with a couple of questions.
I am here and ready to copy.
Hey, Anna. We show about an hour and 11 minutes since we started drying the suits, just to let you know that. And then the other thing is we can put 4.400 section 2 in work if you think we have some time before we get the hatch open.
We copy. You are go to stop drying your suits and turn off that suit fan at this time. Let me get you words on that waste system flush.
Okay. We'll shut the suit fan off now.
In Dragon SpaceX, we are about a half hour prior to hatch open, so you are go to do that waste system flush if that sounds good to you at this time.
Okay, we may give it a few minutes. If it's going to be 30 minutes until hatch opening, we may want to use it just one more time. So yeah, we may hold off for another 10 minutes or so, but let us know if anything changes. Otherwise, we'll do it then.
Totally reasonable. Sounds like a good plan. Thanks.
And Dragon, Houston, on Dragon 2 ground, we're still working comm issues. We're going to take down the big loop now. We'll maintain you on Dragon to ground. We'll call you when we have hardline back inside.
Stand by 1 second, Chris.
Dragon copies, Houston. Thanks.
Go ahead, Chris. Sorry, I was talking to Dragon.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, I'm just looking ahead at the PAO event, and I know it says video through the node 2 and space to ground 2 up and down. It would only take me about 1 minute to change back over to the encoder and go do comm the normal way that we do PAO events, if that's something that's preferred. It really is super fast, and I can get you that way in that config real quick if you need it. Later.
Copy, Chris. Yeah, copy. Thanks for that. We'll offer it up, and I'll let you know if we want to go that way.
Copy. Obviously not urgent or important, just throwing it out there.
Station Houston on 3 for Chris comm config.
Go ahead.
We just wanted to clarify from your last comments. We show it as being in the standard config, whereby you're going to be coming down over the camcorder HD mic, and we'll be going up over space to ground 2, and that's what we're intending. Did you maybe just? We might have missed your intent in your previous remarks. Is that what you had in mind?
No, I had, like we do all other PAO events, we talk, we hold the handheld microphone that is going through the clip-on mic transmitter to the clip-on, through the camera, and then the audio comes down through the encoder. That's how we typically do PAO events. So I could go back to that config if you need, super fast, or if you want to do it this way where we're talking on space to ground 2, that's fine too. I don't care. Just throwing it out there because it's different than we normally do PAO events.
Standby.
And just to be clear, well, the configuring now is the Node 2 camera is not connected to the encoder, as you probably know. So all I would do is just plug the cable back into the encoder and switch back over to the nominal Node 2 camcorder.
And Chris, that is clear. The camera needs to be plugged into the encoder. So what you're saying is what we need. We don't know where it got swapped up, but the camera should definitely be plugged into the encoder, and audio is coming down via that encoder.
Okay, so yeah, we'll just use it on the. I guess what I was thinking is going back to one without a battery and not be dependent on the battery, and going back over to the nominal cable, which includes power. I just get a little leery about relying on these batteries.
Gabby, we have Photo TV online, so we're talking to them on the phone right now. Stand by one. Station Houston on 3 for Chris. Microphone and the free float camera both connected to the encoder. Does that clear it up?
Okay, copy all. You want the free float camera, and we'll use the handheld microphone through the ATU. Copy all. No problem. I think I'm not communicating. No pun intended. But I think we're in a good config now, and I won't swap over to the nominal Node 2 camera.
Down by Chris. Station Houston 3, Chris. If you're still there, we think we still have it backwards. So I see you look. Yeah, I see in the video now. So we still have PAO on the line. Sorry for the confusion, but I think this much is clear. This morning, we moved cameras, we swapped the cameras that were connected to the encoder. What we want now, we're getting video from the free float camera through the encoder, so that's good. We're seeing it right now. What we need, just relaying here, is your lapel mic. That has to go through that new free float camera, so that your mic connects to the free float camera, and then that audio comes down through the encoder. Does that make sense?
That's the config it's in right now, and that's all perfect. The only benefit, I guess, I didn't initially make it clear, is if I switch back to the normal cable and the normal camera, we're not dependent on a battery power on the camera. I just am worried that throughout this whole event, we're gonna that all of a sudden the battery's gonna go out. I go back to the normal.
SpaceX Dragon on Dragon to ground. Report complete with 4.012.
The benefit to this free flow camera
I'll be
is
complete
I
with
can take
4.012.
it all the way into the Dragon, which I don't think we could do with the other cable. So my thought was, after we do all of the ingress stuff and we switch gears to the PAO ceremony when we're standing right in front of the hatch, we could have actual power to the camera. But it's really no big deal. What I'll do is I have got a couple batteries on standby, and I'll just make sure there's a fresh battery right before we start that PAO there.
Okay, Chris, sorry it took so long, but I'm 100% with you, and copy 100% on the battery concern. The word we're getting here is we would like to run it in the config that it's in right now. We copy all on the battery config. Great idea to have a few spares nearby, but we think it's going to last throughout the whole event.
Okay, copy all.
And Station Houston on 3 for Chris. With that out of the way, you have a go when able for your 1615 activity. 1615, that's your go for steps 3 and 4 in 2.102 Crew Dragon ISS arrival.
Okay, 1615 activity, inward.
Endeavour, Houston calling on hardline for a voice check. Endeavour, Houston calling via hardline for a voice check.
Loud and clear, how was?
Hey, Endeavour, Houston, we have you loud and clear on hardline. Great news.
Well, congrats. Sounds like we got it at least somewhat sorted out.
Affirmative, concur. We think we might have found it interference between C2V2 and the hardline system, but we're going to keep it here for now and proceed down the timeline.
Never copies.
Houston on 3, hey, can you back me up on the PDT?
Will do, we're checking. Station Houston on 2, Chris, TPDT is good. You're good to continue.
Thanks.
This is Mission Control Houston. You're looking at the inside of the International Space Station. What you were hearing before were just some of the audio and video checks, just making sure that everything's synced up so that we get the best views and the best audio possible for when Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley come through that hatch. We're working towards the hatch opening now. You can see Chris Cassidy down the pressurized mating adapter. That hatch will open up to the international docking adapter. On the other side is the Dragon hatch. Cassidy working through those procedures after pressure equalization was complete. Now expecting around the order of 10 to 15 minutes maybe until we finally get that hatch open. So we'll stand by, keep those views coming from the inside of the International Space Station to welcome Bob and Doug aboard. This is Mission Control Houston. You're looking at the live view of the inside of the International Space Station Flight Control Room. The team here, Orbit 2 team led by Flight Director Scoville, is working through the intricate process of making sure everything is ready to open the hatch and welcome Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley aboard the International Space Station. It's been a journey so far to get to this point. More than 2 hours ago, made contact and capture with the International Space Station was the Dragon vehicle, the Crew Dragon vehicle, with Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley aboard, 9:16 a.m. Central, 10:16 a.m. Eastern.
Dragon FM voice check. How do you read me? Counting. 1, 2, 1.
30-minute timer that you gave us a little bit earlier.
1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 5.
Here, and then give you go to come back on board.
In Dragon SpaceX, you were pretty broken in that previous call.
Clear some stations with ground 2. I don't hear Dragon.
I think you're being summoned by the Russian crew. In Dragon SpaceX, I was told to proceed with you. Can you please repeat your last?
Yeah, Anna, just wanted to double check with you to make sure you had copied our last and that we were still good on that estimated timer that you gave us for 30 minutes. It looks like we've got about 10 minutes left. So we'd like to pick up in section 2 of 4.400.
Checking.
This is Mission Control Houston. Chris Cassidy opens the hatch to the International Docking Adapter, 11:37 a.m. Central Time. Station and Dragon flying together, 267 statute miles over the South Pacific. This is a view from the camera at the forward end of Dragon.
20 minutes until Dragon hatch open, and the APAS hatch was just opened.
Again, 11:37 a.m. Central. The hatch to the International Docking Adapter was open. You see Chris Cassidy there poking his head in. That's the camera at the forward end of the Dragon. Now only one hatch separating Bob Behnken, Doug Hurley from Chris Cassidy, who you're seeing here from those Dragon views. Expected time to open that hatch is about 20 minutes from now. We'll report that time to you and expect to do a welcome ceremony at 12:15 a.m. Central Time, 1:15 p.m. Eastern. That'll welcome Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley aboard the International Space Station as part of the Expedition 63 crew. We'll get to hear some words from them and have some VIPs here in Mission Control Houston to provide words to the teams that oversaw the entire mission and the crew aboard the International Space Station.
Station Houston, we copy the hatch open, no condensation, thanks.
Dragon SpaceX on Dragon to ground, comm check.
Dragon to ground, how us?
A little choppy. How me?